Whoa! What's going on, guys? Today, I have a special video for you for a special day. It is Stranger Things Day, and I want to be talking about some hot takes that I received on my YouTube and TikTok channel about Stranger Things. Basically, I'll just read off the comment, I'll throw it up on the screen, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. I thought it would be a fun exercise for Stranger Things' really most important day of the year. Other than release day 2025, of course. But I'm going to go ahead and get into it, give you my raw, honest, and first reaction to all of these hot takes. Okay, the first one I have here is Mike's mom is Vecna's sister. Now, I've heard this theory for years now because it's literally been 2.5 years since Stranger Things 4 released, and I've always thought this is ridiculous, and I still feel the same way about it now. I think that maybe from like an age perspective, it could work out. You know, timeline-wise, maybe she would be around the age that it'd be reasonable that she's his sister. But really, I just don't get why they'd do something like this for the storyline. There's already so much connection between all these characters that almost feels like it's too good to be true or just like too coincidental. And to do something like this, it would just take it way over the top, in my opinion. Like, Eleven and Vecna literally have such a deep backstory. I don't really think we need to connect Vecna to another character like Mike's mom, of all people. To me, it should be kept how it is, that the Wheelers, the Hendersons, the Sinclairs, all these other families in the show that, you know, are kind of just friends of Will and Eleven who are a part of this thing, they shouldn't also be a part of it and have these strange random connections that are just introduced this late in the show. So though it's a fun and wild thought, I don't really think there's any merit to it. So this one says season 3 is the best season, and I actually got a few like this. I just have to say I disagree, and I think for me, it's closer to being the worst season than the best for sure. I have 2 and 4 as my favorite seasons, and then I have 1 and 3 as the bottom 2 seasons. I'm not quite sure what order I have those in. It kind of fluctuates, but I just know that, you know, I have a top 2 and a bottom 2. And honestly, as I sit here right now, I'd probably say season 3 is the 3rd best season. I've explained this a few times before on my channel, but just to reiterate, I think season 3's last 3 or 4 episodes are spectacular, and they rival any other season's finales and, you know, the build up to the finale. But I just think the first half of the season, the buildup of the storyline surrounding the monster is pretty weak and has some of the weakest moments and weakest storytelling, along with some plot holes that are perhaps the worst we've seen in the show. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think it's like good television. I don't think the first half of season 3 is unwatchable or, you know, this really poor product. I just think if I'm comparing it to the other seasons of Stranger Things, of course, it doesn't stack up. So I'd have to disagree with season 3 being the best season, but it is extremely entertaining. I can't lie. If you would have said the season 3 finale is best or season 3's final 2 or 3 episodes is the best, I could have that conversation, but not as a whole body of work. So this comment from Liv Hayes says, worst season, definitely the last. My favorite is probably the 3rd. I wonder where it's going. I also wonder where it's going. That's about the only place I agree in this comment. I, once again, don't think the 3rd is the best, and I certainly disagree with the notion that the 4th season is the worst. I mean, the 4th season delivered in every category. It was the scariest. It had some of the funniest moments. It actually gave us like so much depth for our characters and the storyline, you know, more insight into what's going on with the monsters, where they came from, what all the Upside Down is, and I think we're going to get even more explanation for that in season 5, but it was nice to get a basis and to get a villain that, you know, had, you know, clear motivations and a backstory and intentions behind their killings and basically their hatred for the world, rather than just having this figure that's kind of, you know, overtaking everything just for like world domination, which was cool with the Mind Flayer and everything. I still think that was a really cool, mysterious monster, but, you know, just getting Vecna in season 4 leveled that up so much, and so many of our characters got so much better, and I think the acting was at an all-time high as well. So just performance, storyline, you know, music, everything you can imagine, I think was peak in season 4. I still think season 2 might be my favorite, but there's no way you can say season 4 is the worst in my opinion. Not to mention season 4 was almost double as long as the other seasons because of how long the episodes were, so you just got so much more content as well. Here, this comment says Mike is kind of annoying, and unfortunately I see this sentiment online a lot. A lot of people just don't rock with Mike, and I certainly disagree with those people. I really like Mike. He's always been one of my favorite characters. Recently, in making lists, you know, for my channel, I have decided to slide him down slightly from where I used to hold him, but I still think he's a borderline top 5 character in the show. I think that he gets hated on for his poor actions way more than other characters do, and I don't really see why that happens. One of the main things people point out is that he was rude to Max in season 2, and I can give you that. That is true, but 11 was missing. He was kind of grieving that, and I think it was just a natural, however old he was at the time, 12, 13-year-old reaction to a new girl being introduced to the group and his friends seemingly forgetting about 11. And so, yeah, he was jealous, and he didn't treat her very nicely, and there's no excuse for that, but I guess I'm creating an excuse for it, but I don't know. Is that enough to, make him a bad character, annoying like this person says? I know some people found him annoying in season 3 and even in season 4 as well. I think most people liked him early on in the show, but then as season 2, 3, 4 rolled around, he's been a character that's largely disputed, but I've always liked him. I still do like him. He's dropped off somewhat, but I still wouldn't describe him as annoying. I guess I could see where you're coming from in some instances, but overall, I like Mike. That's really what I can say about this one. And I don't know if this is really a hot take, but I wanted to include it. Shout out my mom. Hopper is this fan's favorite. I agree, Mom. Great character. I think a lot of people hold this opinion, so I wouldn't say it's a hot take, like I said, but I just wanted to throw this on here. Shout out Hopper the GOAT. Now, I've already talked about season 3 to death in this video, so I'm going to mainly address the claim that season 1 is kind of lame. I'd firmly have to disagree with that, though I would probably put season 1 as my least favorite season. It is definitely not lame, and it's what drew me into the show initially. The mystery in season 1 is perhaps the best that it is throughout the entire series. You get this random girl that shows up on the scene as soon as they lose their other friend, and you have no idea the extent of her capabilities, and why she has them, where she came from, why this really creepy guy is coming after her, obviously where Will went and how her and Will are connected and what she knows about it. To me, the mystery is just amazing, and it's what made this show special from the start. And also just like great performances, really unique things going on, as far as the editing of scenes and stuff like that, especially for a show that didn't have the biggest budget early on. So I think season 1 was so good, and it's a lot of people's favorites, actually. A lot of people just prefer the originals, not just with this show, but with a lot of things. And I do think season 1 was really good. I just think they've built upon the storyline in a really effective way and built this show up to have higher stakes and to have them pay off. And I hope there's the ultimate payoff in season 5. We get a couple character deaths, we get some really good character moments, and we get to see how they take down this ultimate evil. But I think season 1 started it off really well, and I definitely would disagree that it's lame. Now here's the opposite claim. Every season after the first one is booty. Chad, man, I gotta disagree here. I'm not going to talk about the seasons too much more here because I've already, kind of broken down how much I like each one. But yeah, I don't think the seasons after season 1 are booty. In fact, I do think season 1 is the weakest, but I think none of the seasons of the show are booty, or whatever other, similar word you would use to describe it. I think they're all at least solid or great, but I might be a little biased. This comment says Mike and Elle are not a good couple and are better off as friends. Okay, this is interesting. I think it's hard to make this claim because we've never really seen them as friends. I mean, I guess in season 1 when they first met, yeah, they were technically friends. He was being nice to her, letting her stay in his house behind his parents' back. Really from the very beginning, when they first saw each other, it always felt like they had feelings for each other. They thought each other were cute, had a crush on each other, at least at first. And then really from, the end of season 2 on, they've been in a relationship, other than their little breakup thing in season 3. But, they've always been framed as a couple, and it seems like they're going to be an endgame couple for this show. So you can argue whether they're a good couple or not, but saying they're better off as friends, I don't know. I just can't really talk to that, I feel, because I've never seen them as friends. Once again, I've always seen them as a couple. And personally, I think they're a really good couple. In terms of whether they're good for each other or not, I don't know if that's what you're trying to get across with this, and I can't really speak to that. That could be debated, I guess, but all I can say is that I do find them to be an entertaining couple. I think they've had good moments really every season, especially earlier in the show. I can admit they're not quite as good as they used to be, but I thought the moments between them in season 4 were pretty good and pretty real. The argument they had in Eleven's bedroom, about him never saying he loves her, and then him opening up later on about how he's scared to say he loves her because it would make the moment where he loses her even worse. I think that's real, and I think it was all pulled together pretty well. Eddie's going to be in season 5 a lot more than we think. Okay, Arthur, what I have to say about this is I think he'll be in it a little bit, but not a lot. So if that's what you're claiming here, then I would have to disagree with that. I think what they'll do is they'll include him in some flashbacks, and not just flashbacks like we've traditionally seen in the show, like they just go back to old scenes. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a scene that was filmed or that he came back to film that we have never before seen that shows some events that went down between him and Dustin probably, but that they didn't fit into season 4, and that would give us more context to their relationship or to something that would happen that's relevant to events in season 5. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, if we get a new scene with him in the form of a flashback. But in terms of him actually, returning as a character, as any of these crazy theories people have, or just somehow still being alive, I don't think that is realistic, and I don't think it would be a good move for the show. So I don't think he'll be in it a lot, but I do think he'll make, some appearances in terms of flashbacks, stuff like that. Will finds a guy in season 5. I feel like I'm disagreeing with all these, but I guess that's probably the nature of it. These are hot takes, but I honestly just don't see this happening because I think the guy he likes is Mike. And I think Mike and 11 are firmly together, and they're going to be an endgame couple at the end, like I said. So I don't think they're going to spend a lot of time in the storyline having characters find a partner that's not already a character in the show. Like, I think Robin will end up with Vicky because not only, did they start to put that together at the end of season 4, but we've also seen Vicky's, the actor that plays Vicky was there for, the season 5 reading with the cast. So I do think she'll continue to be a part of the storyline, and they will be together in season 5. And then obviously there's going to be some resolution to the love triangle with Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve. And then I think the other couples will just stay together. But at this point, I don't think there's going to be like new exploration of couples with characters that haven't even been on screen yet. So I don't really think Will is going to find anyone by the end of the show. But I think, he's going to be busy enough. Certainly have a huge role in season 5 and have a lot of other things on his mind to worry about rather than, finding a guy. Okay, this person said if Steve dies, he needs to die to save the kids, or like Dustin, because I won't accept any other way for him to die because he is my favorite, and if he has to die, this is the perfect way to end his story. I think this is true for most of the characters that are going to die this season in general, and I do think there will be multiple character deaths, but I don't think any of them are just going to die in like a random way. I think the most likely scenario for all of them to die, all of those who do die, is going to be sacrificing themselves for, another character that they're pretty close to. So yeah, I think if Steve does die, the most logical way for him to die would be saving Dustin. But it could be for any of the kids. It could also be for Nancy. But yeah, I think certainly it'll be some type of sacrifice or just unselfish action that leads to his death. It's not just going to be something random or off the wall. So I don't think you have to worry about this. This comment says 11 is bad. And, if this question was posed maybe after season 1 or 2, probably just after 1, I would give it, some thought. I'd have a little bit more fun with it. But at this point, I don't really think there's any feasible way they could have 11 be a bad or evil character. I think all of that went out the door really a long time ago. Back in season 2 with her whole encounter with Kali and how she showed mercy to that man that hurt her and her mother. But even in season 4, they really shut the door on that because, they tried to lead us to believe early on that 11 was the one who killed all those kids in the lab a while back. But then, later on, it's revealed that it was 1, and she really saved the day. So, yeah, there's really no chance 11 is bad at this point. It's just, building that climax up to, good 11 fighting evil Vecna, and then, everyone that comes with them on each side. I'm sure Vecna's going to have a lot of, the upside down monsters on his side, maybe some other real life things, I don't know. And 11's going to have the whole crew and potentially a couple other supernatural helpers with her as well. So I don't think there's any chance 11 is bad. I think this could have been a good theory maybe 7 years ago or something, but not anymore. NBA Fire 112 says season 5 will have aliens from the upside down. I don't know about aliens. I don't know if that's like the term they'll use, but yeah, I think season 5 will probably bring back all the monsters we've seen. If I had to guess, I think Vecna will like summon all of them. So yeah, I think there could be some undead creatures. Maybe some of the characters we saw die in season 3 could like come back to life, but I don't know. They already molted into the Mind Flayer, most of them. So but I definitely think some form of the Mind Flayer will come back. Probably the Demobats, the Demodogs, Demogorgons. But yeah, gonna be a lot of creatures, I think, trying to take down 11 and the crew. Since the Upside Down is connected, do we have to kill Will, or is he the hero because he knows where Vecna is? So this isn't really a hot take. This is just kind of, a question, and I appreciate it. I think this is kind of the whole point of what we're trying to get at with season 5. So this is like an essential question. do Eleven and Will have to die to end this whole thing, or can they fight it off somehow else and like officially end it? Because 11 has taken down the evil so many times, and then it still returns the next season because there's still some loophole. There's still, either the Upside Down still healing, or somebody else, tries to come in and open it back up. So how do we get it to the point where it's finished, it's done? And I guess that would probably just be slaughtering Vecna and then, fixing the damage to the actual physical Earth. But as far as, do we have to kill Will, or is he the hero? Yeah, I think that's really the question. I mean, I think he will serve as a hero in some regard. Will that lead to his death, or can he be the hero and stay alive? That's really the question. But yeah, thanks for pointing this out. The Clockworker 914 just said it's overrated when I said drop a hot take. So, look, you're entitled to your opinion. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think Stranger Things is a great show on a lot of levels. Really, the reason it's my favorite show is just because I think it's like all-encompassing and it's so versatile. I mean, anything you want in a show, in entertainment, I think it provides. I think it's funny. There's a lot of good drama. There's, good world building, but there's also good, relationships between characters. There's varying character dynamics. There's great character growth over the seasons. Amazing acting to portray these characters. Super good writing most of the times. Good directing. I just think it's the total package, and a really interesting concept, one which we haven't seen. And of course, it's inspired by things, right? Like, I'm not saying, this is just completely original. They had no inspiration. They got this idea out of nowhere. But the actual thing that it's modeled after, the Montauk Project, exploring that, as deeply as they have here, that's never been done before in media like this, and I think it was a really cool thing to dive into. So I just love this show, and the characters are just so captivating. They bring you back in every time, even if there's a small mistake in the writing or the storyline. The characters are just so good that it doesn't matter most of the time. Hey, season 2 is my fave. This is a hot take, and I do agree with it. Something I haven't been able to say hardly at all in this video, but most people online, if you look around at like people ranking the seasons, they're going to have season 2 in last probably 8 times out of 10. You look at 10 videos, 8 people have it in last. I really just don't get why. I don't know if it's all because of that Lost Sister episode, or if people really think the whole season is just that much lower than the other ones, but I think season 2 is really good. I think it builds upon what happens in season 1 effectively. I think, you get the insertion of characters like Billy and Max that add a new spark to the show. I think the buildup of the monster is so intense, and the way it's, overtaking and consuming Will is really scary, really riveting, and we get so many cool scenes with Will. It was definitely peak Will as a character. And then the final 2 episodes of this season are just so emotional, and they're just bangers. I mean, they're 2 of the best episodes in the show. I think they're both like top 4 episodes, and you get them back to back in one season. And one last note, I also didn't mind the Lost Sister episode as much as everyone else did. It's probably a bottom 5 episode, but I don't think it's like far and away the worst episode ever like everyone else does. So I really enjoyed season 2. I agree. Green Marcher 6500. Season 2 is amazing, I think. And I saved this one for last because this person had a lot to say. All Things Lexi. Let's get into it. I'm going to try to run through these a little quicker than the other ones, though, because there's so many. But Will's haircut was not that bad. Okay, I don't have a strong feeling about this one way or the other, but I'd agree. It didn't ever really bother me as much as everyone seemed to talk about it. Number 2, Mike is not really that bad. He's just being a normal teenager. Completely agree. I think he's a really good, fun character. 3, Karen Wheeler is more than just the, mom everyone thinks she is. She's actually very interesting. I don't know if I'd call her very interesting. I think she's kind of, plays the role fine. She's a clueless mom. There's Joyce, who's super involved in everything her kids are doing, and she's really concerned with all this stuff, and she knows so much about it. And then Karen's on the opposite side of the spectrum. I think in normal circumstances, she'd be a good mom, but, it's kind of hard to believe she doesn't know more, given how involved her kids are and all this crap, but, it is what it is. Number 4, in season 2, Dart should have been like a companion to the kids, basically the only nice being from the Upside Down. I think they kind of did this, with his connection to Dustin and how Dart lets them continue through the tunnels in, I think, the penultimate episode of the season 2, episode 8. Or maybe that was it was actually the final episode, my bad. But, Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of show that him and Dustin, their connection that they spent a lot of the early parts of the season talking about, it wasn't, all for naught. It actually did help the crew later on a little bit. But all in all, I don't really think they should try to make things from the upside down, like, good-spirited. I think, it all kind of stems from Vecna. And, we're still uncovering things about the upside down, but I don't know if it would make a lot of sense to make these things, like, entirely good and, like, fighting with our crew. I think what they did was probably, like, the extent of the goodness they should give to one of these creatures. And then 5 is Vecna should have stayed as just Henry or 1. It was so cool when he revealed his powers and it seemed like he was helping 11, then all of a sudden he turned on her. I would have liked it if he became like an ally to our main characters, because besides 11, who else do we know that can help win this fight? I think that, Vecna, like I've said, being the main evil in this show is so essential to wrapping up this storyline, and it, once again, puts a face, it puts a reason, it puts passion behind taking over the world, behind getting revenge on humans and on, just having this awful outlook on things. Coming from a human, I think it means so much more, rather than it just being like this evil entity from this mysterious land of the upside down. Now we know, like, this person was sent there as like a purgatory, and they're trying to like get their vengeance on the world because he just has like a rotten heart. To me, that means so much more than if, it would have happened just organically with the upside down having these evil natural creatures, which would still be cool, but it's just not the same, you know what I'm saying? But okay, I got through all the comments you guys left on my videos. Unfortunately, it didn't feel like I was able to agree with a lot of them, but I guess that's the nature of receiving hot takes and reacting to them. You guys said things that a lot of people weren't going to agree with, and I didn't agree with most of them, but that's okay. It's good to have discussion about it. I love talking about this show and all its elements. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and happy Stranger Things Day to all the Stranger Things fans out there. I'm really stoked for Season 5 to come out. Unfortunately, it's probably still several months away, even just for Volume 1, but I can't wait, and I'm glad to celebrate the show today. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I have other videos dropping today for Stranger Things Day as well, so check those out if you can too. All right, see you later.